So what do you think most men have to earn their respect from a woman?
Yes.
And why is that though?
I don't think society made that up. I think it's just the way it's designed. I think even God put that in place.
He kind of said, don't respect him until you make money?
No, not don't respect him until you make money. But you're funny.
I had to ask that question.
Make sure that he's a provider. God put that in provision. It's not. I don't think it's a societal thing. But God put it in position.
I agree with that statement, but I don't think it should be about respect based on how much money he makes or how much money he don't have.
No, not so much how much money he makes. Is he a provider? It's not about how much money he makes, but is he a provider?
I could agree with that.
I've said it to you many times. A person could work at Walgreens or Pathmark. What is he bringing home? Because in some households, women are making more money.
Agreed.
So.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. Today I'm excited. I'm so excited today, guys. We got a special episode today. I got a special guest in. Miss K Bigby is in the building.
Hey.
Listen, I'm happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's my sister. For those who don't know, we do this a lot. We talk a lot. So we're going to bring you conversations that we normally have to you guys. But today's episode is, does social media ruin relationships? So I'm going to ask you the question.
All right.
Does social media ruin relationships?
I believe it does have an ability to do so, yes.
Why do you feel so?
Too much access. Access to your personal life, access to what you're doing. We utilize social media to post pictures, tell our everyday things that we're doing.
Yes.
And the outside world is looking at that.
Yes. You know it's weird because I talk to a lot of my guys, and I'm seeing that people really believe that the highlight reel of social media is really people's lives. And if it's 365 days, if I post 12, that means predominantly most of my days weren't exciting.
Right.
But again, we post so much pictures that people look like their lives are much better than what they actually are. Or people get influenced by the lifestyle that people show them in their relationships. Do you think that's normal that a lot of people do that?
Yeah, I think it is.
And why do you think that's this case though?
Again, it's having access. And a picture is just a moment in time. You're snapping a picture for the moment.
Yes.
And people have a tendency of thinking that's what it is, like you said, 365 days of the year, when you're just capturing a moment at that time.
You know something scary? Like, I think what it did was intensify people to be envious and jealous of others.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because if you look at a lot of men and women, and I want to use it vague with both parties, right? I think men and women look at relationships based on the perception of what these people present on social media. I think one thing I've noticed that young people feel like they should be traveling more. Even if they haven't accomplished anything, they think they should be traveling. And they're spending so much of their resources on trying to keep up with the Jones that is not really the Jones, right, but pretending to be the Jones. Right. And this is what they do. It's created a standard that they have to be a lot more successful younger than they actually are.
Right, pretending.
Yes. So even with dealing with like the youth yourself, I know that's what you do. So what do you see a lot of times, what it does to them psychologically as far as social media? What does it do to them?
It definitely clouds their judgment. I notice a lot of times children have a tendency of, like, say you post a picture. If another guy likes another girl's picture but didn't like the girlfriend's picture, it's a big fight now for no apparent reason, when I always let them know that doesn't even matter.
Oh, my God.
And it happens often. We just have a tendency of worrying about what other people think, and it just doesn't matter.
So I think personally that it's created more insecurity then.
Yes.
And what I'm seeing now is insecurity is so prominent with adults and young people.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what it showed me? I'm gonna be honest with you. Social media showed me how bad parents really are in this world. Because when I'm looking at their children, I'm like, that's somebody's child.
Right.
Right? When I'm looking at somebody's child, I'm like, are you really TikTok dancing with your daughter? Are y'all both the twerk battling? Are you kidding me?
I see that often too.
And well, I don't want to say bother me, but it's like I learned that this is becoming the normality.
Yeah.
And it's sad. What would you see as something that's abnormal behavior because of social media that you think influenced it? Tyler? Facebook.
I'm seeing a lot of what I don't like from on social media is when I see a lot of people taping fights, things of that nature. Like, why are you taping somebody's fighting or somebody's death or things of that nature, which makes absolutely no sense to me. I think it's just, like I said, it's just too much access to show these things, and it's not good.
You know the scariest thing is when one time, I remember there was a woman that was married, and based on the perception I had of her marriage, based on social media, I thought they had a healthy marriage.
It's pictures.
Yes, and then one day they filed for divorce, and I'm like, what?
Wow, that's not abnormal. Like I said, it's taking a picture of the moment in time that it's happening.
But I think it's ruining it because people, they're not really showing who they genuinely are.
Right.
And like I said, I can meet a person, be attracted to the aesthetics what I see on social media,
Right.
but then it don't represent their true nature, their true character.
I agree 100%.
You know, I think a lot of people have created this double persona where it's their reality
Right.
versus the social media persona that they've created. You know,
We almost have to do like a background check on these people.
it's scary. It's scary. For my people on my live right now, what do you feel about what's ruining? Is social media ruining relationships? What do you feel about that? You know, I think though, like helping the young people and even people, period, because I'm seeing it even older with their insecurities. I think therefore you help people become better versions of themselves. Today, you know, I was talking to someone close to me, and as we were talking, I've noticed so much heightened levels of insecurity. And I'm like, you know, because we don't acknowledge the abandonment issues, the trauma that comes from abandonment, the trauma that comes from mommy and daddy issues, the trauma from coming from areas that breed trauma, right? And then we don't address these wounds to the point where people are literally like, like having problems psychologically,
Right.
you know? And now going further, what would you say, did you suffer with any or see anything in your immediate family, anybody dealing with social media problems?
Yeah, there's a lot of bullying going on.
The bullying.
Again, going with this, what you said, we were trying to keep up with the Joneses. I have a concern as far as even girls because we have these Instagram models.
Yes.
This figure that people have to keep.
Yes.
You have young girls now that's wanting to look like that, and it's not realistic. Because to be quite honest with you, the Instagram models, no pun intended to them,
Yes.
when they go home, that mask has to come off. That makeup has to come off. Those eyelashes have to come off. That hair has to come off. So that's really not how they look like on an everyday basis.
That's scary but true. You know what I believe? I believe that they replaced the social media. They replaced the Bible with social media. I think the Bible has become second nature to the social media. I think people care more so about what God said, and they care about what social media says.
Yes.
To the point where it's like the baseline of life is what's trending on social media,
Absolutely.
not what's trending in
Real life.
real life. You know, it's crazy because I meet people all the time and they're so captivated by social media that they don't even build the true characters of self-worth or self-value or self-respect.
Right.
And I'm like, you know, it's influencing people for the wrong reasons. Even adults at this point now want to be so young because they're so insecure with their reality. It's like, yeah.
Just want to piggyback what Karen said. Not only just women, but men too, trying to keep up with unrealistic body standards. You know, with steroids and just keeping up with an image that's not even real, which is scary. And a lot of them just
I forgot about that. Men are doing work too.
yeah, like it's scary on both sides.
Yeah, but when you look at it, it's like I do believe that there is a steroid problem, but I don't think it's as much as plastic surgery. I don't think it's close. I definitely find more BBLs than I find steroids. It's there though. It's definitely
I just
there.
want to know where they're getting all this money to do this. So many people are getting surgeries now.
A lot of people are willing to take on credit card debt and put themselves in a deficit. They said the average American carries about $26,000 to $30,000 worth of debt right now.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying like either or is still unhealthy.
No, 100%. That's common. That's common. But when you look at the practices on social media, it creates the standard of you have to look or be a certain level. A lot of times I tell young men, the average man doesn't really start seeing their financial strides till about 35 to 40. Most men date younger because it takes men longer to gain their value. And why do I say gain your value is because men are more valuable when they have achieved. So in order for a man to be looked at as or viewed as a man, he has to achieve. In most cases, men start hitting their financial strides at 35 to 40. So therefore, it takes a lot of people more time to develop. So if it's gonna take me 35, 40 years, I'm gonna definitely look younger for from which makes more sense because she's more fertile. But it's like, it's just weird that if a man looks younger, it's because he wants control. I'm like, no, but if a woman wants a man with money, it's not because she's a gold digger. It's just like, it's weird. It's just weird. It's blurred lines there, you know? What do you think about that?
Well, I agree. You and I have had this conversation many times about if a man does not reach his full potential, there is nothing that he can do to have the woman submit to him.
100%.
It's important. You were saying a lot of times, men will date a woman, for instance, who doesn't have much.
Yes.
But because they're mooching off of them. That's what I feel. Mooching off of them to get to where they need to be.
100%. I think a lot of men nowadays, they're codependent because, tap this one. They're codependent because of their upbringing, and you see the reflection of the upbringing. Your upbringing in most cases create the baseline of how a human develop. Right. If I'm speaking Spanish, it's more than likely I either A, grew up in a Spanish heavy cultured area, or B, my family was Hispanic.
Right.
So when you see certain behavior patterns, it references to me that this person must come from a certain demographic because that's what they've normalized. And I think social media has even created an environment where a kid who you're protecting from that certain mentality still has access to that mentality because of social media.
Yes.
Like if you look at me as a father, let's say hypothetically I put myself, Tyler, in a great area. And now I still have to worry about how strong social media is as far as its reach.
Right.
Because of the fact that you can even see in third world countries, they're behaving like a lot of the hip hop culture.
Oh, now, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Believe
It's
it or not,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Like when we travel, I'm like, oh my God, you can see that hip hop is heavy in Africa.
Yes.
Hip hop is heavy in Jamaica. You can see it there. And I'm like, it's just like a certain aesthetic, you know?
I wonder where we would be without social media if it was never there.
But one of the problems I see with social media is creating, it's taking away the natural, organic interaction. So for instance, I could be super, super, super confident on social media and be super, super insecure in reality.
That's true.
I know people that jump online and they'll shoot their shot.
Right.
You're a beautiful woman. They're more confident to say, hey.
Oh, yeah.
But when they see you face to face, they act like they've never seen you in their life.
No, you're right.
So you're seeing that people are like, they're socially weird. Right? Because
they're hiding behind
a
computer.
Behind a computer.
Yeah.
And it's scary, our phone.
Right.
The interactions are not there anymore, God.
I remember you were talking about the trend. It was on TikTok. Like a guy, he'll be next to a beautiful woman at a concert, and then he'll record it. He'll be like, "Somebody help me find her at," instead of literally just speaking up and saying something.
Wow.
Ain't that weird though? When you really think about how weird that is, it's like, yo, I always tell guys, there are a lot of men nowadays that I meet that are a little socially awkward. But again, how do you get out of that socially awkwardness staying in your 5-block radius? Because all it's gonna do is feed your comfort.
Right.
But I'm like, you gotta get out of this little 5-block radius mentality.
It's funny you say that because in high school I was very shy to myself. I was the girl that got the football players and the basketball players and everything. And now that I'm outside of school, the same guys that probably wouldn't have tried to talk to me now because of social media, they're in them DMs.
They're shooting them shots now.
They're in them DMs.
It's funny because
especially when they know who you're with.
Oh my God. But you know what's weird is that men and women nowadays shoot their shots via DM.
Yeah.
And it's the same premise that there are women that would never come up to you face to face. It's giving them a way of approaching someone without approaching them.
Right.
I think it's more so the fear of the rejection.
Yes.
I think people, they're nervous of being rejected. So therefore they don't even take a shot. And I go to a gym, there's a guy that I don't work out with him, but I know him in a gym. And I know him a little, not on a person-to-person basis, but we know each other.
Okay.
So there's a girl that we see every morning. He tells me she's beautiful, she likes her. And I'm like, how long you gonna stare at her, bro? Like after a certain point, you just get weird.
Yeah.
And if you're telling me this, I'm pretty sure she's starting to feel that creepy energy.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you're gonna keep looking at her. But I'm like, bro, you're not gonna just go. She say no. At least you could establish some rapport with her.
Right.
Rather than just lusting forever. It's like, it's just weird.
And it's okay to go to the person and tell them that they're beautiful, or whatever the case is.
Yes.
And how you gonna deal with the rejection afterwards now?
And that's what a lot of them can't do.
Yeah.
Because, but again, you've been given participation awards just for existing. And that's really the problem. People have been getting, a lot of parents have created, like for instance, my mother didn't believe in shy. And I'm gonna tell you why she don't believe in shy. My mother believe in respect. Some people, even you're shy, but you'll stay so good. You'll still say good morning.
Yes.
Some people won't even speak to people. That's not shy. That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful. Yeah.
I'm saying that's not shy. I'm sorry. People can say it all they want. At the end of the day, you could be the shyest person in the world, but every person should walk into a room and speak when they walk
Say
into a
hello
room.
at least. Yeah.
Right? Good morning.
Yes.
Simple.
Yeah.
And if you teach that premise, I think the person that's nervous to talk to someone, you can open that door by saying, good morning.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Now you look normal.
Right.
But if I'm looking at, let's say a girl like me in the gym, I walk past her, I'm seeing she keeps looking at me like she wants to, but to me, I'm going to look at her as weird. So you don't think she look at a man as being weird also?
No, she'll go back home.
Dun, dun, dun.
She'll go back home and on your DM.
I would say the crazy part too is that means if she's looking at you, that means like she's giving you a welcoming sign, like, hey, say something to me.
50-50.
Yeah, 50-50.
That's a 50-50. And the reason why I say 50-50 is because some people are just, I think you got to know how to read the room. The way you gauge approaching a woman is pretty much by experience. Because you learn that someone is being friendly and someone is they want to be pursued. You learn the difference when you deal with a lot of women. But when you don't deal with a lot of women, you don't know no better. A lot of people would think somebody want them that don't want them.
Right. They're just being
I'll do it again. Do it again. Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to circle back real quick to the whole DMs thing. I feel like with DMs, it hinders not only just men but women as well from just actually experiencing rejection, because rejection builds character.
Who do you think takes, and I want to ask all y'all in the room, even you, Karen, who do you think takes rejection better, men or women? I'm asking you first.
I think women take it better, to be honest with you.
They take rejection better?
Yes.
Do you think women get rejected a lot?
Maybe 50-50.
I think in order for a man to be in some sort of relationship, he has to shoot a couple shots. I think women are more so approached. But nowadays it's getting more loosely where women are starting to approach more. It's definitely changed since I was a kid.
Yes.
Women that usually pursue, we was like nervous of them.
Right.
I'm still traditional. I still like to be the hunter. I don't want to be hunted.
Right.
I still want to be a hunter. Social media ain't changed that. I would want to hunt somebody. I want them hunting me.
Right.
I feel like it's a little weird. What do you think?
I think it's easier for a woman to take rejection because she can have so many options. As a man, that could be his only shot he's shooting, and then that he gets rejected, and now he feels depressed and down and stuff like that. So it's easy for women.
I think men have a lot of options also, but I think sometimes with men and women, we have to learn that what is our option. I think some people they think highly of themselves, which is a good thing, but they also have to think realistic with themselves too, right? I just think that sometimes, because I've seen very attractive women with guys that are not so attractive, right? So I'm not gonna use it based on looks. But again, you have to understand if you pursuing a certain woman who expects a certain lifestyle, you can't expect her to lower her standard of lifestyle to accommodate a man who can't meet that lifestyle. And it's fair to her by saying that. Right. Would you agree?
I agree 100%.
So my question is, what do you feel like if a man is pursuing a woman, he can't reach the standards of what she expects? Do you think she will ever respect him?
No.
And why not?
I mean, if you're not where you need to, we've had this conversation many times. I think that a man should come to you already ready. You know what I mean? If you don't have the prerequisites lined up, why am I going to waste my time even bothering to date you or get with you? It doesn't make any sense.
I agree. I think a lot of people, they want the woman to date them as they figure out their game plan.
No.
And I think that's crazy. I'm like, you should have your game plan, be in execution mode, be at least in third or the fourth quarter of your completion of your plan. I don't think you should be in like barely the first quarter of your plan and expect a woman to accept you like that.
Because aren't we dating with purpose for marriage?
Yes.
So I personally don't feel that you should date anybody based on their potential. 15, 20 years old, when you hit 30, I'm sorry.
But you know what I will say though? I think men got to up their standard when it comes to giving their resources to women. I think the same way a man has to earn his respect, a woman should have to earn my resources.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you, in most cases, you have to earn a woman's respect, especially when pursuing, right? I think a woman should have to earn my economics, especially in the pursuing stage. If I'm trying to court her, I'm trying to get to know her, she's going to have to earn, because my initial perception, I don't want her to believe that, hey, this is me coming to give you all my resources.
So you're looking for her to bring something to the table?
100%. And what I mean, even the only reason why I say this, and I want you to hit me out on this, I think with women a lot of times, respect wavers based on their feelings, right? And the sad part about that is one of the highest currencies that a woman can give a man is respect, right? But their respect wavers based on how they feel. But in the same breath, a man is not allowed to waver his resources because it would make her uncomfortable. But a woman that's disrespectful makes a man very uncomfortable. But yet still the man is supposed to be tolerable of that. But a woman doesn't, she can waver with her respect, but a man can't waver with his resources, his provision, his protection, and the security that he gives her, even in anger. And I think that's a little crazy. And I'm just...
Yeah, I agree with that.
Tyler, you get what I'm saying?
I agree.
What do you feel about that? So you take a man, a woman expects him to be a provider, provision and security, but a man, his highest level of currency that she can repay me is respect. But in anger, a woman's respect wavers. It changes based on how she feels, which takes away the currency that makes him feel secure. But when a man is mad, he don't take away his provision, his protection, and the security that he gives a woman because of anger. I think that's a very immature thing we got to work on as a culture. I think a lot of people don't talk about it enough. What do you think about that?
I think it's like being loved under certain conditions.
And that's what they say about
Like
men.
a woman, she'll love you. You have to have this certain conditions, these certain things going on for me to respect you and talk calm to you. And it's like, yo, I respect you even when everything is all wrong. A man is gonna most of the time respect a woman, but I think a lot of women love under certain conditions.
There's a saying though, Karen, that says that everyone in the house is loved unconditionally except the man. They said if a man can't provide the conditions that make him feel, that make the family love him, then he is not looked at or nor respected as a man. I agree with that statement to a degree. It's not 100% in
I was gonna
homes.
say, you don't think that's 50-50?
I think it's more than 50-50. I think more than 50-50. I think if a man don't give, I think most cases women.
So you think a man is just valued based on what he
it
gives?
died. Yes. Use a different charger. It's right there. Yes, I think a man is more so valued based on is a cheap charger. I think more so men are valued based on what they can provide to a woman opposed to just a man is not valued to a woman just because he's a man. You know, I think a man, once he hasn't accomplished anything, most people don't see him as a man. And it's sad, but
Who do you think set that standard, though?
I think women, because naturally, the same way men set the standard of a woman that's promiscuous, we don't entertain or take serious. Women don't take a man serious in most cases, and if they do, they won't respect him. They're just gonna disrespect him. I think a man that sets himself up like that sets himself up for failure, because you shouldn't put yourself in a position, put it on a box. You shouldn't put yourself in a position where it's like, you know, financially you're not secure, and you know you're codependent on a woman. I see a lot of men that do that. Just they walk around with at the woman's mercy. You know, they walk around at her mercy, and I've seen this 1,000 times. And the sad part is, should have left it on the top. They walk around at her mercy, and the reason being is because she don't respect him as the man he is, so therefore he overcompensates because of the lack of what he brings to the house. So the resources that he don't bring, he will overcompensate because he's walking around on eggshells. I think that's in most cases that's a normality, where a man that doesn't have, he walks around very, very, very tiptoey because he don't have. You don't agree with that? Not saying you. We're talking about in general.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
So what do you think most men have to earn their respect from a woman?
Yes.
And why is that though?
It's, you know, I don't think society made that up. I think it's just the way it's designed. I think even God put that in place.
God said don't respect him until you make money?
No, not don't respect him until you make money. But you're funny.
I had to ask that question.
Make sure that he's a provider. God put that in provision. It's not. I don't think it's a societal thing. But God put it in position.
I agree with that statement, but I don't think it should be about respect based on how much money he makes or how much money he don't have.
No, not so much how much money he makes. Is he a provider? It's not about how much money he makes, but is he a provider?
I could agree with that.
I've said it to you many times. A person could work at Walgreens or Pathmark. What is he bringing home? Because in some households, women are making more money.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. You ever heard of something called hypergamy?
No, I have not.
Hypergamy is when women view men. Google the definition of hypergamy real quick. I want to say the exact definition, but I'm gonna give it a summary of what I've come to the conclusion of what it is. Okay. It's when women see men that make more money as a superior man because of his economics. Is a social science term described the act of marrying or dating someone with a higher social status. It is also refers to marrying into a higher caste or social group, right? So they say that a lot of women have hypergamy. When they see a man that makes more money, they give him more respect.
Okay, I might agree with that, yes.
That's bad though.
I might agree with that.
But then they'll get mad if we look at a woman because she got a bigger butt or she's more submissive. We will go like a girl that's more submissive than a woman that's not submissive. We also like girls that are more fertile than not fertile. But it's like everyone has their standards. But I think that shouldn't, I think more people should be looking at it what we could build together and not look at what somebody has built for themselves or have for themselves. I think the problem is a lot of people overly indulge on what somebody else has created or done, and we don't see what we could be doing together.
So what happens if the roles are reversed? Like if it's the woman that brought a whole bunch to the table?
I think a lot of women do still bring a lot to the table. It don't have to be economics. I think a man could bring a lot to the table even if it's not economics also. I think that it depends on, a lot of times what we don't talk about when you're dealing with men and women is a lot of men are broke because of the lifestyle that they're trying to give a lot of the women. A lot of women have a high standard of expectations when it comes to dating. So a lot of guys I see that's in relationships, just let it sit. I see them in relationships, they date and try to keep up with giving her a lifestyle that she believes that she's warranted.
And social media is playing a big role.
I think social media plays a major part of that. You don't think that's crazy? Where it's like you have to give. Think about it. The younger people are traveling more than and the sad part is, the young people are literally dying economically doing it to give somebody a lifestyle. Most of the guys and girls, if you see them on a trip, the guy paid for it. The guy paid for it. And it's sad because it's like, damn, you don't even have it like that. But again, it's what social media tells her. He's not a real man unless he can do this. And again, in the building stage, that's the most sacrificial time of your life.
I agree. Yeah.
But he can't build nothing if he ain't able to keep anything.
Right.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Question: what do you guys think in a relationship, or you guys are talking or anything? What is a good time for a man to start really like giving some of his resources? Because we know what happens. What is a good time period? Are we doing it off rip? Like how should it go?
Wait for a little bit. I would say maybe after a year.
When you say giving, like it could be $20, it could be $100.
I mean, what she said, like wait for it. Like what we see on social media today, the trips,
crazy.
the traveling, the
crazy.
shopping, to this. What does it take for somebody to deserve that? Like,
But if you look at it, a lot of these young boys, when they get mad, they unalive a lot of these girls because they put out, they give. I'm being honest.
Wow.
Yo, guys, y'all agree? It's happening at a high volume right now.
Wow.
Because a lot of these girls use these young men who don't have much of anything for their little bit of resources, playing with them, and then they, oh, you ain't got nothing else? I'm out. On to the next.
Wow.
And a lot of these guys, they're not gonna go for that because they're like, wait, I've give you my last. And I'm like, see, that's a problem within itself when you shouldn't be giving nothing that you can't afford to give.
Right.
But in the same breath, give it a second. In the same breath, that young woman is telling this young guy that he's not a man unless he can give. So therefore, she plays on his insecurity. And his social media also plays on the insecurity of the youth, which makes them feel like they gotta do too much. I think young people, no lie,
Everybody's using everybody, it seems.
they date like they're married. They date, when I talk to young people, the young people are like, they're like weird in a sense. They like, even people in general, I think older people too, Karen, it's like a trade. I always say the man trades his resources, the woman gives her emotion, like it's like emotional insecurity that he has, and she needs the economical insecurities that he has. I think that'd be like the trade. And I'm like, damn, it's like you gotta get comfortable with yourself. And a lot of times I think a lot of these young people and people, period, they're dating, looking for someone that complements their insecurity rather than breaking past their insecurity. So they look for somebody that's gonna just complement it.
Well, you know, and not every woman is looking for somebody to, you know, buy them anyway. I remember when I first started dating my husband, one of the first questions he asked me was, you know, do you have any bills that you need to be paid? And I said no, because I didn't. I can handle that on my own.
Yes.
I wasn't looking for anybody to do that. So, you know, I might agree with you where men are looking, you know, looking to having people pay for things for, you know, for time and affection and all those other things.
But we're told that as men, you're not a man unless you can. And it's kind of sad because I'm watching so many people, whether male or females. I watch even women, like young girls, Karen, look at them. They look old. The young girls are starting to look old. They look so old, and the young men are looking so much older. The other day I told a young guy, you know why your marriage won't work? He said, why? I said, because you're living as if you're already married. And he said, what do you mean? I said, you date like you're married. And he told me, what do you mean? I said, this is the time where you're supposed to be enjoying the greatest moments of your life, which is having fun with your mate, living your best life with your mate. But these young people and people, period.
Too much responsibility at a young age.
Yes. You know? But again, it's realistically the standard that it's become where it's like, hey, I have to look like what I'm not before I am. Yo, just sit it on the charger here, bro. Yeah, but like I said, that's really the problem. And I think that we just don't, I don't know what it is. It's like really bad. I'm seeing so many emotional young men and women. It's just bad. And they're just insecure. Like the girl don't feel like her man is nothing if he's not taking her out to eat.
Why not cook something?
She don't want that. You know, the back in the days, those girls was like, oh my God, he cooked for me.
Yeah.
Now the new generation is, oh my God, he took me out to eat. Oh my God, he paid for this. Oh my God, he paid for that. I think it's crazy to raise a daughter to believe that a man is supposed to buy her all her little material things that she want.
You can do it yourself.
She should be able to.
You should.
You know? So what would you say right now, if talking to a young woman or a young man, what would you tell them as an elder or older person? Like, what would you tell them?
Go and get your own money. Take care of your own self.
Yeah.
Stop looking for somebody else to do it for you. There's nothing wrong with you working and making your own money and doing what you have to do for you first. I mean,
you know, I'm scared. I'm scared of what is to come, because it's like, I'll give you a story. Last night we were in my store, and while we were in my store, we were talking to a guy. He was so wrong, and I've never seen a man. Well, I've seen it more now. Yo, when I talk about like, oh my God, he got so upset. He said to me, Karen, he said, I don't care about being wrong. I care about you being right. I said, damn. So it's not about you learning. You just want to prove to me that I'm wrong.
wow.
And it scared me because that's how he thought. We're talking about a grown man thinks that like, yo, it is better for me to fight with you to try to prove you wrong than for me to learn something.
It's actually ridiculous. Immature, actually.
You don't think they're getting a little bit more feminine? These men are getting a little more feminine.
They are.
Say your line that you like to say a lot. What is your line?
Some of these men are giving me clitoris
They
vibes.
got clitoris vibes.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you this question.
Crazy.
What do you feel is going on with the churches?
Oh, boy.
I gotta ask this question.
Oh, boy. You trying to open up a can of worms in here. You know what? Let me say this. And no pun intended to any church. Sometimes when I do go to the churches, I sit back because I'm very observant. I could be analytical. Not all churches.
Okay.
Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, showtime. Showtime.
I'm listening. What do you mean by that?
Time to perform.
So you think most of the people in the church are not genuinely their organic self?
Let's say 50-50.
I could take that. And what is usually the show that you see?
Nonsense. Foolishness. Money grabbing. I really want to know what is going on with the tithe and offering. Where is it really going? Is it helping the community? Is it helping the people in need? Where is it going?
No. I know one guy that I know very well. He goes to a mosque, and he said that he could borrow money from his mosque interest free. Interest free.
It's funny you say that because I have a coworker that said to me the same thing about Jehovah's Witness. You can go in there and get help more than you can from a Christian church.
Wow.
That doesn't make sense. You should be able to go to your pastor or your leader and say, I'm having a financial difficulty. Can you help me out here? They shouldn't have to tell you, we can't do that right now. You should be able to, especially if you've been a member for many, many years.
100%. But you know what's bad is when they really. I think a lot of times this is what you're seeing now, because if have you noticed that like people period are just so turned off with churches?
Yes.
It's like crazy. What do you think? Why do you think so many people are turned off from church? I want to hear it.
I think so many
Especially
people,
from the younger generation.
I
Why?
think so many people turned off from church, and I'm a person. I grew up going to church every Sunday, but I think they're not emphasizing that life is more spiritual than religious. I think religion can tend to be a little bit of a distraction, where it's like, if you're not doing this, and that, you're a bad person, or they make you feel guilty. They're very judgmental. A lot, not all, but some of the pastors and the people in the church are very judgmental. They make you feel bad for some of the decisions that you have made, and also the tithes and offerings thing. I don't feel like every time I come, I have to give you money. Where's the money going to? You know?
So, like, I seen, like, I'm gonna go into a quick story. At one point, I was into the church. I was going a lot, and I went to prison, and I came home, and I felt like I needed the church more than ever because I came from a dark space where I needed to be enlightened and feel welcome and invited. Okay. But when I got back, there were a lot of people that was very, very ostracizing towards me, and I felt uncomfortable, right? And it's funny because I'm gonna tell you how crazy life is. The person that judged me so hard, he was very stern on his family and strict on his children and always talked like he was perfect and all of these things. His son ended up being one of the biggest drug dealers there was. And his son ended up going to prison.
They're judging you.
You know, and that's why I feel like a lot of times people just not interested anymore. You know, I'm not going to pay you to be judging me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people think that it's the falling away of churches because of COVID. COVID is over, but the pews are still empty. And the pews are empty because you have the people that are in place, they're not even healed. You know, they're bleeding on the people too. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing. And that's why people are leaving. Instead of them, you know, being nurturing and caring, they're bleeding on the people. You're judging somebody, you know, for something that you probably did as well.
Andre, that's scary. Yeah.
One more thing, and I feel like the church, they don't have an emphasis on knowing thyself. You know what I mean? It's not, like you said, a lot of those people aren't even healed themselves, and they trying to tell you how you could be better. But it's deeper than religion. It's more so going within. So they don't even emphasize on that.
You know what the word religion means, right? Broken down? To rely upon. Religion. To rely upon. Religion is man-made.
So go into that. Let me hear that.
Religion is man-made. I mean, I am not an overly religious person. I'm more spiritual. I do believe in that there's a God. I grew up going to church. I started out going to Catholic church, Baptist church, Pentecostal church. And again, just sitting down and watching things change dramatically, you know, with the Bible. You got the New Testament, you got the King James Version, you got all these versions, and then you wonder why. It goes back to saying what I said, you know, with the Jehovah's Witness. Certain religions don't judge you. It's like you come as you are. You know what I'm saying? And it's just based on conversation with other people. You know, who wants to come into a church where they're judging what you have on? They're judging how much money you're giving or what you're not giving. Some churches want to see your W-2 forms before you even enter the church. I don't understand that. I don't see a lot of people doing like outreach stuff. You know, who's feeding the homeless? Who's taking care of the children that are in orphanages or don't have a parent? Why are those things not happening? You know, we got to stop getting in the mindset where we got to build these big churches. How about building a community for the children who need some place to go so they're not killing each other on the street?
I feel like just because someone is economically inclined don't mean their spiritual walk is strong and they genuinely into who they presenting, right? Just because you're a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, a professional, that doesn't necessarily mean you are psychologically really invested in the walk as much as you would like to say you are, show that you are. Like you said, I do believe that when you go to church, a lot of times it's lights, camera, action. And I think that's trickling down to the outside world when you see people, it's lights, camera, action, where everyone is definitely playing a part.
People are waking up now.
Yeah. You
know, in other words, I would like to see more leaders lead people to God and not to themselves, because you're idolizing. That's what you're teaching me to do, to idolize you. Lead me to God. You know what I'm saying? We're worried about all these other things. Let's save some souls. How about that? Lead me to God.
But I feel like I don't want to say all, but a lot of pastors are definitely financially driven. And
try not giving the tithe and offering and see.
I seen a pastor say to me, tell me he brags about not having to pay taxes. And I'm like, that's like, wow, you know?
I saw a video, it went viral. I don't know who it was, but the pastor, he was like, close all doors. We need to get 40,000 40,000?
He said he misinterpreted, but I definitely seen that too. From based on what I saw, also, that looked crazy, bro. It was Marvin Sapp, and I think personally that a lot of people in church a lot of times feel like they could buy their way into heaven. Also, a lot of people feel like the more that they give resources, why? Because it's on both sides of the coin. And a lot of people sometimes pay and go to church because they're trying to clear their own conscience, right? It's like, I had to wake up myself and say, why was I at church? And initially when I was at church, and the religion that I was following wasn't based on my perception of living. It was more so the perception of the person I was with. And I started following the religion. But I do believe in spirituality.
Me too.
And the more so I started seeing religion preaches separation.
Oh.
Spirituality breeds connection.
Yes.
Right? Spirituality is the connection that you personally have with your God. Religion is all about how many people can, it's like clones. Like it's like a bunch of people acting the same. But I think spirituality is your individual walk and belief with your creator.
Absolutely.
Right? Good.
Yeah, I would say that whole Marvin Sapp video was kind of crazy. You know, never would have paid it, I guess.
Yeah. But like you say, sometimes we misconstrue the purpose that you see in society today. You see a lot of the people who aren't dating with a purpose. But what is the purpose of dating if you don't know what the dating purpose? Like, I don't know how to be. It took me years to learn how to be in a healthy relationship. I remember at one point I was heavily invested in trying to make someone I wanted, opposed to someone that could compliment me. I wanted someone like when you look at logic. Let's say you make $100,000 a year. It sounds amazing to date someone who makes $100,000 a year, and y'all both academically inclined. And sometimes the person that usually match you is someone that's completely different from you.
Yeah, opposites attract.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want no one. I've learned to even, and I'm gonna say this in my belief, I don't want someone just to love me anymore. I want someone to respect me, because you can keep your love. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't give a damn about it. Love to me is that's man-made and it's fake, and it's love is a choice.
It is.
And it's an action, and it's I feel like a lot of times people, they say they love you, but it's conditional.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But respect, to me, it goes deeper, because I've hurt people I love, but I've never hurt no one I respected.
Wow.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. We all hurt people we love every day.
Yeah, it's true.
But I doubt you are gonna hurt someone you respect. Right? Good. What do you feel about that?
No, I agree.
What you got?
Just a quick question for the both of you. Us, do you think that today with relationships, the one thing that kills it is that people talk at their partner instead of talking to their partner?
Yes, I agree.
Elaborate on that, Karen.
I think a lot of times we speak to each other. We hear each other to respond and not to be compassionate, understanding. That I don't like. Often when you and I talk and we go back and forth. So I feel like if we take more time to listen to what each other is saying, and you can comprehend, and then go forward from there.
You got to give it time to process, because automatically it's going to trigger an emotion.
Right.
Especially when you're dealing with women. I'm being fair. It's like they're feeling-based creatures. They don't choose to be like that. But again, that's just their nature. Right. If you say something that may be a little triggering to a woman, in most cases be ready for the backlash of her feelings, because it's triggering a feeling. I think when a woman learns how to like control her emotions, she becomes the dopest woman on earth.
You got some men that are emotional too, though.
Where they get it from, Karen? I gotta ask it. Where they get it from?
I don't know. Maybe their emotional dad.
You know, most cases, I hate to say this, we're the culture of a heavy single parents.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna speak from my experience. I was very emotional. I came from a single mother that was very emotional. And I've only learned how to be what she showed me. And I reacted in uncomfortable situations very irate opposed to logical. I think if I had a man around me, a real man, I would have learned how to be more logical earlier. Where it's like, okay, we know that the sink is leaking.
Right.
You're complaining about the sink leaking, so am I.
Right.
Rather than springing into action and say, why am I even talking about this? Let me get a bucket. Until I can figure out where the leak is coming from and start working from there.
Finding the solution.
Finding the solution. I think that that's what having a strong masculine man in your house teach you, to be more of a solution-based creature. Sometimes I get a woman, she'll say, you don't tell me anything. I said, because in most cases, women make the problem worse. Because they're going to complain a lot of times. I'm like, I don't need to complain, I need to find a solution. And I'm not all, Karen.
I understand.
But a mass majority, but it's just their emotions. They get nervous.
But if you're saying that some of these men now are being raised by single women, they're not going to be solution-based men. They're going to be emotional-based men.
Yes. Would you say, like, again, we were seeing a generation of kids who grew up on social media and YouTube.
Yeah.
They're very socially awkward.
Yes.
That's the same thing you're seeing from the generations that are being raised with their mothers. There's going to be some kind of aesthetics. The masculine, the chest is there, the pecs and the arms are there. But psychologically, weak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but why is that? Because it's missing some ingredients.
Right.
When you look at a lot of the girls and the men, they're missing ingredients. They're not fully completed. The recipe is there. The penis is there. But there's some things that's missing in the recipe. Self-confidence, self-value, leading by example. Those ingredients come from having that masculine energy around. And I think that's what we're seeing, the missing ingredients. And also, when you have the girls who are growing up with certain fathers not being there, they're looking for the acceptance of men because the validation of the father wasn't there. So now it's like, yo, I need someone to love me. And they spend more time trying to look for love,
Right.
opposed to loving themselves.
So how do you think we could fix that?
I think the only way we could fix it is by being more great examples for people, because I think the only way we can change the single parent culture is, like, for instance, would you say that a lot of men don't like women that are promiscuous?
Of course.
But I think a lot of times we have to change our standard.
Right.
I think a lot of women got to stop accepting being baby mothers.
Right. That's true.
You know, and I think a lot of men need to stop accepting being baby fathers. You know, and it's just,
We actually have to get back to family.
Black culture right now, we have actually the highest level of single parents. We have the highest level of divorce. We have the highest level of single parents.
I was seeing something. It was
And lastly, we have the lowest level of economics too.
It was a tweet, and it was saying like a lot of Gen Z and millennials, they having kids, but the relationship is lasting like a year. It's no like family structure, nothing. I'm like, wow, it's true, because you look around.
Let me ask you something. Imagine growing up in a house with a woman that says to you every day, I don't need a man. I could do it by myself.
Frustrated.
More than likely, you're only going to regurgitate what you kept hearing. It's like if I grow up with my child every day hearing nothing but cursing, they're more inclined to be what?
Cursing.
And that's what you're seeing in a sense. And a lot of times the anger that you see the women have is a frustration of actually having to do the role. What makes a great leader is one who doesn't complain about the leadership role. A lot of times, I hate to say this, women take on that leadership role and they complain about that role, man. They complain about that role. And I'm like, you're just strong, right? So I think you should just do the role. But they like, oh my God. I'm like, but you can't be a great passenger seat driver because no man gonna want to drive that car with you in it. You know, if you're gonna be in a passenger seat, sit there and enjoy the ride. Otherwise, drive.
I don't think they really want to be in that position, though.
But they're gonna complain about your job you're doing. I just think we gotta get out of just thinking that the materialism is what make a great relationship. And, you know, the materialistic things make a great relationship. I think that's men and women. I'm like, man, stop trying to buy love, and ladies, stop thinking he could purchase your love. Right? Men are trying to buy love, and women believe that he could buy my love. I think that's what it is. You know, the other day I tried to hook up a couple, and the lady said, no, he's too corny for me. And I said, every guy that you thought wasn't corny had sex with you and left. So I think maybe you need to try something different. If I go to a restaurant every night, Karen, I get food poisoning, why am I still in that restaurant?
Don't support it.
You know?
Yeah.
It's just what it is. And the men, I think they need to just you say it all the time, and I agree 100%. I think a man should have a vision, a plan, and an execution date on to when he wants to get to his level.
Yes.
I got guys, Tyler was talking about it, they want to do music, and they don't even come outside.
Oh.
I'm like, you're weird. Like, that has to be a level of weirdness, bro. Go ahead.
Speaking on that, not music, but I know a guy, so he was dealing with this girl. They was in a relationship around my age, 23, 24. He got her pregnant. So he was in a relationship the whole time he got her pregnant. Once he finds out, a couple months later, he leaves the girl.
You what?
He left her. So he didn't show up to the birth of the baby and nothing. He didn't want nothing to do with it. So I really think it is a lot of people.
He came from a broken home?
Yeah, probably came from a broken home, and it's just a lot of people moving too fast, doing things we're not ready for, just for the likes and looks of others, you know?
It's sad when you realize that a broken person can only create a broken situation, and until one heals, one can't create a healthy situation. There is no unhealthy person that can make someone healthy. If I'm sick as a father and I have a child, we only look at it from the physical. But if I'm sick mentally, I'm also passing on those generational curse and traumas to my child. You passing on that gene pool. So therefore, not fixing myself, I'm not realizing like, wait, I'm gonna procreate life that's gonna have a equivalent or worse mentality than what I had. And we don't see it that way.
That's why we have to get back to ourselves and deal with ourselves.
I got a question for you. Being that you work in the school system, when you see a lot of the children and they misbehave, when you meet the parents, what do you usually see?
The apple don't fall too far from the tree.
Wow.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So you can kind of see that that's their home.
Yeah, dysfunction.
I'm dealing with a mother right now. Her child's father and her fought so much that the kid is incarcerated right now because of both of the parents. I tell her that, she gets mad. I tell him that, he gets mad. And he's like, how do you take that from me? I said, because you and her had a child together, which means you're supposed to work together to raise the child. But they were too busy holding on to what they experienced, not to what the child was going through.
Making excuses.
Yes. So they were fighting each other every day, like, yo, when we were together, you were this. I'm like, your son is 16. No one cares about, y'all dated years ago. Let's worry about this kid.
Yeah.
You know? This kid is just bad. It's bad out here. So based on the social media, what would you say right now is something we could do to help our children become more secure, even with being bullied on social media, or maybe limit the usage? What are you thinking?
Start encouraging the children more. You know, start paying attention to what they're doing. I personally don't even like the whole cell phone thing and stuff. I'm one of those parents where I'm going through the cell phone. I want to see what's in the cell phone. I want to see what kind of apps you have. If I don't find it as appropriate, you're deleting it. You know, we just got to pay attention to our kids. A lot of people don't even realize what their children are even doing on a daily basis. The same child that's playing in band is the same child that's vaping.
Yes.
You know, we just don't know because we're not really paying attention, and we need to start doing that. Paying attention.
We're gonna breed a whole. You know, I don't know the study, Tyler. What it said? It said by 20-something, more women will be not married and childless in the next coming generation. What was that?
Wow.
2040, right? Go ahead.
I know the study. I think it's by 2030. Between the ages of 25 and 44, women will be single and childless.
Well, but why do we think that's becoming a normality? That's in 5 years. It said 2050 by 2053. If blacks keep catapulting the way they're behaving, we'll have a net worth of 0 at the median. Well, but why do you think this is? Why do you think this is happening? You know why I think it is? I'm gonna keep it real with you. I think our grandparents never loved the money more than they loved the person. I think we love money more than we love people. And money has become so much the identity to people feel insecure that they feel insecure without it. To the point where they're willing to compromise their integrity, their souls, and their morals for it. And I think that's what you're seeing now. More people are willing to compromise my own integrity because of the finances that make me feel secure. I think our grandparents wasn't about what you can do for me, but it was about what we could do together. And they were more so worried about raising more healthier children than we are today. You know?
Isn't there a saying that the love of money is the root of all evil?
Yes. Yes, the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's sad because people love money. How can you love? I'm just curious, like, how can somebody love money more than a person? And you only value a person that has more of it. You got people that, you know what's scary? And I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm speaking from a lot of young men, they're willing to go do something illegal as hell because they feel like they're nothing without money. And they're not received or respected without money. So you see these young kids, like you got dweebs and nerds scamming because they just wanna, I know a kid the other day, and he started scamming. And he's one of the nerdiest kids I know. And I'm like, damn, he feels like he has to be so established. We had a shop the other day where we asked a bunch of 20-year-old guys, how old is the average millionaire? They said 23, 24. I said, in what world?
You know why, though? It's because social media, and I hate to say it, women are expecting you have to come to the table with some type of finances, or you have to be this established man. That's just what the women, a lot, not all, but most of the women these days are thinking. He need to be six figures, this is not, if not, he ain't nothing.
Let me ask you a question. If it's 10 men, and I say, it's only 10 men in the room, and I say, out of 10 men, what is the percentage? It's 10 men. How many? What's that percentage-wise?
10 out of 10 men, that's 100.
That's sitting in that room right now. That's what?
That's 100%.
100%. They said that right now, currently, most women are at the doorstep of 10% of 100 men. They said the average woman right now are willing to be more side chicks than ever.
Wow.
Because of the economics.
Just to get things?
Hell yeah.
Wow.
That's how materialistic the culture has gotten, where the men that they say most women are signing up for the same guys. You see that study? Let me see it. Let me read this to you real fast. Okay, matter of fact, you can read it. Okay.
According to a recent study by Morgan Stanley, it's projected by 2030, approximately 45% of women between the ages of 25 to 44 will be childless and single. This represents substantial increase compared to previous decades, where marriage and motherhood were often considered cornerstone of a woman's identity.
And nowadays, it's her career, it's her money, how much she can travel, and how much money she spends on herself. I think more so now we're raising men who are very emotionally codependent, and we're raising women who are very financially codependent in order for them to feel secure. A woman that tells you how much she respects a man based on economics says that she can be purchased.
Yeah, but when do you think we got to that point? Is it because we're looking at celebrity status?
Of course, we started overly, it gave us lenses. I know people who knows what's going on in Cardi B life more than they care know what's going on in their own life. I mean, you don't even know what the hell going on in your own life. But you care about somebody Cardi B life. I know men that care about what so-and-so got going on, but not what they ain't got going on. Right? And most guys drive these luxury cars because they want to be respected amongst women.
So social media might very well be ruining some relationships.
I think most. And it's ruining just people. It's the way they fellowship, the way they interact with people, the way there was a time, there was a guy, a girl walked past the store. I was like, yo, go holler at her. He ran outside. The girl was standing on the corner. She was like maybe 30 feet away from him. 30 feet. He jumped in his Mercedes and pulled up to her. Like literally, by the time he started the car, moved forward, he was right in front of her. And I was like, what the hell? And then afterwards, the conversation was,
wow,
he's not comfortable to approach her without showing his material because she won't see him. She'll look past him.
I've seen a lot of clips like that. So in other words, the guy in the Honda Civic will get no play, but the guy in the Lamborghini is getting play.
And that's the problem.
Wow.
You know, unless you can throw out you have a big title. And that's what culture is happening right now, where people aren't challenging and working on themselves because they see like more so, I'd rather pretend to have the aesthetics because more women will respect me if I look like I have the aesthetics or the lifestyle.
And we also seen a lack of like confidence in the culture. Me and Q, when we throw these events, we go on these events and people are not saying nothing. They're walking around down. You can see the baggages on them, and it's like we have to be the ones to enlighten them, to get them to talk, to people.
I want to ask you a question. When you go to most of these dating events, what do you see, more male or female?
I see more female than men
So
on
my
outside.
question is this, and the reason why I'm asking this, if there are more females in here, that means there's more desperation on the female side, right? Right? So if there's more desperation on the female side, that means I think women should be more humble and understanding that those kind of guys are not, they're not chasing women like the way they used to, Karen. It's not the same as it used to be.
I think they're not chasing, but also I think a lot, all right, 50% may not be chasing, but there's a whole other side that aren't confident and don't even want to just
Because they're looking
go
for
outside.
mothers. They're looking for mothers. Those kind of guys gonna have to find moms. Because a man that can't carry the household he in right now is gonna look for a household that can carry him. Let me say that again. A man that's in a household that he cannot carry will look for a household that can carry him. And I feel bad when you see that these guys, how lazy they are about pursuing, but yet still their lives are on handicapped situations. And I'm like, yo, brother, a woman could literally find somewhere to live like this. But a man, you're gonna have to figure it out, buddy.
Yeah, pretty much.
You might have to couch hop for a little while. Go ahead.
So there was a study saying that as parents, I mean, you guys are parents, you may or may not be true, but you're more likely at any age to take your daughter in than your son. So at 24, if your daughter's struggling, hey, you can come in. If your son is struggling at 24, he's gonna have to figure it out. What do
It's
you guys
weird
think?
because we see society just don't want to admit that society see the woman as a physically weaker vessel.
Yes.
But yet and still they want to compare themselves to men when they don't have the same standard of accomplishing as a man to get respect. So when you look at that narrative in itself, it's delusion. Because realistically, a man has to accomplish to get respect. So therefore, a woman can walk around with some 99 cents fit leggings on and look like she's a woman. But if a man is not, he's a bum. I'm fair with both of mine. But in the same, I know Karen is fair with both of hers, but I know she's gonna want her son to be definitely more. You want your son to be more, because we know society is not gonna be easy on them.
Right.
It's not gonna be easy on them, especially the boys. You know, go ahead, Karen.
No, I agree with you about that.
I think a man has to build himself up. He has to elevate. He has to be able to be called a man.
It's going to be harder for the generation coming up, too.
It's going to get harder.
Them, yeah.
So can you speak to the men who are afraid to go through those? So we see a lot of men, they're getting codependent. They leave one relationship, jump in another one. Same thing. Speak to the men. Is it okay to be alone for 6 months to a year, 2 years, just to focus, work on yourself, rebuild yourself, and figure yourself out? Like, can you speak on that? Because we've seen a lack of that right now.
I think when a man chooses a woman to engage her or to marry her, he says that he can take care of her. And if a man can't take care of her, she's not going to respect him. I'm just going to call it what it is. Anybody say otherwise, I'm going to call him a liar. But as that man, if he's not putting himself in position, he shouldn't be dating. You know, I think this is what I said earlier, when a man should date younger because he should be focused on himself. So for instance, let's say if it took me 35 years to get my life together, then it's okay to date a 30-year-old woman, right? A 40-year-old woman is young to a 50-year-old man. It's been like that since the beginning of time, that older men dated younger women because of the fact that the man had to produce. When you came to a father's house, if the man couldn't provide you anything, in most cases he was an older gentleman, right? Courting your 21-year-old daughter was probably a 26-year-old, 28-year-old man, 30-year-old man, right? It was normal times. Most grandparents, the father is older than the mother. Because again, the man has to have his life together. So if the man has to get his life together, if it takes you 40 years, then go date someone 30. It took you 40 years to get your life together, go date someone 30. And a 40-year-old woman is young to a 50-year-old man.
But why is it taking so long for somebody to get their life together?
Because realistically, the average man doesn't start seeing their financial strides till about 35, 40. It's just natural. Even if you take a real career, most real career earners don't start really making money till about 32, 33. So it's later.
Then you should just stay single until you get to where you need to get to.
It's because it's just expectations. Like, people expect way more from the man. You got to be able to still take her out traveling, be able to do all of these things, have a nice car, have a place that you call your own, and it's just a lot. It's a lot that people expect, right? And it's just what it is. I just think that I didn't create the rule. I just understand it. Society definitely respect men that make more money than men that don't. It's just what it is. And a man that doesn't lie to himself, I can be broke and she's gonna respect me. Good luck.
No, that's not happening.
But again, so you think, before we get out of here today, you think that society is creating a bad standard on the young people and people, period, dating?
Yeah, the expectations are too high. Like you said, they can't afford it. They're pretending. They're wearing masks. They're renting cars they can't afford. They're doing too much, and it's just not real, unfortunately.
Let me just ask this question. In your stance, in your belief, who do you think have higher expectation when it comes to the dating world, men or women?
Women.
Elaborate on that.
Again, women are looking for somebody. Some women are looking for somebody to take care of them, make sure they could provide. They're looking to find this knight in shining armor out there. Ladies, he's not there. You're just gonna have to accept people for who they are, and just go forward.
And build from there. That's what I feel too. I think the guys, if you see a woman that, like I was telling one of my family members today, I said, yo, if the woman is too much financially for you, let it go and go find a woman that will see you for who you are. Because I got a theory, if you're not gonna step up and help me get there, then sit down so I can see the woman that's behind you that's willing to. Let me say that again. I genuinely believe that if she doesn't want to step up and help me, because if you have this social, materialistic lifestyle that you want, to expect a man, see, when we say the word provision and security, that could be us having an apartment and being comfortable.
Yeah.
But you want this whole big old house. And it's to put all of that on a man, that's crazy.
But
I'm gonna be honest with you.
What age group is this though?
I think that's across the board. They think crazy. At 21, they think you're supposed to have a penthouse loft. They think you're supposed to be cosmonaut.
They want the trips to Dubai immediately.
Come on. Because you know why? They see, if you look at it, it's talk logical, and I'm gonna say this, younger and younger girls are wearing wigs.
Yeah, oh.
Growing up, young girls never wore wigs when I was growing up. Never.
And
Hell no.
And full
the
face
most
makeup.
weave a young girl will wear is a weave or braids. I've never seen young girls wear wigs like they're young.
It's true.
That was like an older woman thing, bro. Wigs was 99.9% old women thing. Ain't no guy in my generation was willing to date no girl that had on no damn wig. Unless, excuse my language, if she's going through like maybe cancer or something, then that justifies it. But a regular woman, young girl with a wig was diabolical. That's unheard of. These little girls be 16 with a wig.
It's true.
16, like this.
Ooh.
That's crazy. I'm lying?
No, you're saying
They're not even comfortable with their natural hair anymore.
Yeah, they're not.
Go ahead.
So Karen, what do you think about like the superficial woman, the women who, like back in your gen, you're not old of course, but back in your generation, when you guys look at these younger women who's getting their body done, wearing the wig, all the makeup, all of this and that, what is it? How does it make you guys feel? What is it?
Something is radically wrong. That's all I can tell you. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know if they're going through emotional turmoil or just trying to keep up with the Joneses. Like you said, back in the days, we probably wore braids and twists. We didn't wear wigs. I'm seeing children come to school with a full face beat, eyelashes. Your hair's not done, your nails not done. They're not even coming to school. I don't know. I really think it's social media and these, celebrities and the celebrity lifestyle is making these younger children think that this is what I have to be. And it's not realistic.
Wait, you do me a favor. Take that mic. I want you to do me a favor. Name 5 women right now that are that have like, they have surgeries on their body that are, let's say, in the music scene.
I can name 5. Cardi B,
Cardi B,
SZA,
Summer Walker,
Queen Naija.
I don't even know who that is.
I don't even know. And shout out to I got good music or whatever, but y'all got fake bodies. What else? Nicki Minaj.
Okay, Nicki Minaj.
Megan Thee Stallion.
And Megan Thee Stallion. Okay, would you say Megan Thee Stallion has a nice body?
I mean, I'm gonna start saying they got nice aesthetic, a nice aesthetically pleasing look.
But here's my question, and this is what I always ask most women. Most of the natural women end up more married than
100%.
unnatural women.
100%.
Like,
That's for the illusion.
Yeah, it's like I think they get sex and they get men paying on them, but I don't think they get husbands. Because I don't. Every time, I promise you, for the men I see, when I go around their wives, I don't see no fake butts.
Fake butt, and I think as a man, me personally, y'all could
Because
take
you about to be married, your fiance got a fake butt. He said, "Hell no."
I think me personally, y'all can take it however you want, but when I see a girl with a fake butt, I think something mentally is a little wrong.
Yeah,
You don't think it's dying down a little bit though?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's dying down a
Slightly.
think You think so?
But you men look at that.
Okay.
You men look at that. Why are they doing that? Why are women doing that? You guys
For
like
the fake
that.
butt? I don't think. I think people misconstrue being pursued and really looking to start a life with you. I think more women count their chases more than they count their relationships. Like when you look at it, that's why a lot of women feel they have options, because a lot of men are pursuing for the sex, right? They're not pursuing for the love.
For longevity.
Yeah, in the long-term relationships. I'm like, a man could not get approached a lot, but if he is approached, he is more approached by people that of substance that really want to be with him. A woman could be approached a lot, but she got to be really good at weeding out the crap from the diamonds.
I agree.
Because she's going to get way more crap than she's going to get diamonds. So even if a woman gets approached a lot, she got to be able to see, like, this is crap and this is a diamond. But a man, in most cases, if you get courted, you're going to see more women that are serious about you than not, right? Because any girl that ever tried to talk to me, they really wanted a relationship. They was, I want to be your girl. I want to be your girl. Like, girl. I'm like, this is crazy. But again, it's just what it is, guys.
Yeah, whenever I see a woman with a BBL, I just say to myself, yo, God did not make no mistakes. Why'd you do that?
Yeah. I think I'm 50-50 on it. I think, listen, we all have things that we would like to fix on ourselves. I don't necessarily always mean it's an insecurity. I'm going to be fair to the women that do it. I definitely think there's some women that just wanted to put some cushion behind their butt. This is what they wanted. Because I know some women that don't change when they get a BBL. And I know some women that do change when they get a BBL. Yeah, some women don't care. It's like, that was just something, like, for instance, a person that's heavier, they might want to get in the gym and work on themselves. Somebody that probably genetically didn't have a butt, want a butt. So they say, you know what, I want to put something back there. When it start getting, like, unrealistically looking, I think that's sick. That's when it's sick. It's like even when they do the cleavage, I think when it's like, the ones that's like that don't make no sense to me, right?
That becomes a mental problem.
It's sick.
Something's wrong.
Yeah, it's sick, But you got anything to say before we got out here today?
Listen, just be yourself, people in the dating area. Stop letting social media influence who you're with and what you're doing. It's just social media. That's all it is.
Listen, I'm going to piggyback on what she said. A lot of times we have to learn to love ourselves so therefore we can project onto others how we feel about ourselves. Naturally, you lure and attract who you are. As Karen liked to say, you lure exactly who you are when you really look at it from a totality. So if a person is secure, they're going to lure more people that are secure. When you're luring people that are faulty secure, then you're going to pull more people who are faulty and secure. And what I mean faulty is like when you pretend to be more secure than you actually are, and then you act like you're this secure person when in reality you're not. You ever see someone that says they know they're not that attractive, but they act like they're more attractive than they actually are because they want to make themselves believe that they're that attractive? So they got to tell themselves this to build up their own level of confidence, right? But when a person knows who they are, they don't have to pretend to be someone they're not. And again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We got to learn to love ourselves and understand that social media, as she said, is just a place where you should be able to just keep up with friends and family and show people things you got going on is beautiful. I can watch some of my family members across seas because of social media, but in the same breath, I can watch people that I know that aren't doing well at a close lens, and I don't want to see it, and I'm getting disgusted by it because it's really hurting the culture, and I genuinely believe that social media, a lot of times, is definitely ruining the relationship world.
I agree.
Don't let that go over your head.